Welcome to Learning Math with Mr. Tan. Today I'll be talking about quadratic factorization, and in this simple flow diagram here we see, for example, if we were to expand x plus 1 with x plus 2, we're going to get x squared plus 3x plus 2. And what I'm trying to show to you here is that factorization is just the reverse process, is in the opposite direction. So if, for example, we have factorized x squared plus 3x plus 2, we're going to get x plus 1 multiplied with x plus 2. And the factors of x squared plus 3x plus 2 is x plus 1 and x plus 2. So that's the whole objective of this factorization. We're trying to find the factors of that expression. Now we have to find a efficient way of finding that, but unfortunately there's no efficient way because we really are trying to find this pair of factors in the dark, in the sense. Okay, so what do I mean? For example, if you were to get an expression such as 2x squared plus 7x plus 6, then you wouldn't know what are the linear factors, so you need to find that out. All right. So what this method does is, this is called the cross method. Is basically a trial and error method. You are actually using the factors of the coefficients and then do some steps to it, and then finally getting the algebraic factors of the quadratic expression. Okay, so I've broken down into 4 steps for you. And if we were to follow these 4 steps, you generally find, except sometimes we may run into situations whereby we realize that's not actually the pair of factors we want, and we'll get to that. So for example, I'm going to stay on the same example, factorize x squared plus 3x plus 2. Alright, and for the first 2 steps, we're just trying to identify the factors of x squared and 2. Okay, so let's start with step 1. Step 1, I am identifying the factors of the x squared term. So if it's like 3x squared, we will be looking for the factors of 3x squared. And in here, the factors of x squared will be, well, x multiplied with x. Okay, maybe I should choose a different color ink for this. And yeah, yellow looks fine, and so that is x multiplied with x. So I actually can fill that in, x and x times x will give me x squared. So this bottom row over here actually just serves for me to check my answer, and that's what step 4 is all about. But actually it is just the bottom right corner, that entry, that is going to help us check our answer. But for example, this is just trying to make sure that we've gotten the factors of x squared correctly. Okay, so the next thing is factors of 2 would be, for example, positive 1 multiplied with positive 2. Now, why did I include the sign? Because you actually can have negative 1 multiplied with negative 2. But of course, you've seen the end result, all right, previously. So you know that that's not going to work. But later on, I'll actually use this so-called wrong pair of factors to show to you what's going to happen if we make so-called a mistake in choosing our factors, and what's going to result in how it looks like. Okay, so for now, let's try to use the positive 1 first, because that's more intuitive. So I'm going to choose positive 1 and positive 2. And step 3 says cross multiply, means I'm actually using this multiplied with this, following the direction of the arrow. Okay, so I would get positive 2x. All right, next is, of course, I'm going to use this to multiply with this, and then what I'm going to get is positive 1x. All right, and of course in step 4, then we check our answers. Again, this positive 1 multiplied with positive 2 is going to give me positive 2, and that's fine. So these 2 are fine. And then the last one is a bit weird, so just be very careful, because previously we multiplied these 2 to get this, multiplied this 2 to get this. So the last one will be different. So we are actually summing this up in a sense. So what we have is positive 1 plus 2x So that's actually positive 3x. So if you have gone on to multiply as well, then you have gotten the wrong result and thinking that this is the wrong combination of things and therefore making a mistake. But that's not how this cross method works. All right, so we've gotten positive 3x in our bottom right entry, and that means comparing with this, it is correct. So therefore, this really serves as a checker for us to check whether we have gotten the correct sets of factors. So now what we do next is, this is one pair of linear factor, this is the other pair. So what we have now is x plus 1 multiplied with x plus 2, as we have seen previously. All right, so that's here. Okay, so what's going to happen if I had, instead of choosing this, if I had chosen the other one, which is this, what's going to happen? So let's see what's going to happen when this so-called cross method or trial and error method fails. Okay, because it's important in certain situations where there are different combinations of factors for you to consider. Okay, so I'm going to erase some of these first. Let's start from a somewhat blank canvas. Okay, and this time around, I'm going to use this color and I'm going to be looking at this pair of factors. So again, same thing, x multiplied with x is going to give me x squared. Negative 1 multiplied with negative 2 is going to give me positive 2. So far, so good. But the last thing here is positive x multiplied with negative 2 is going to give me negative 2x. Positive x multiplied with negative 1 is going to give me negative 1x. And what I'm going to get, if I sum up the last column, is going to be negative 3x. Now this does not match up to this. Okay, so whenever you do cross method, things like this can happen where you try that pair of factors that looks a bit like what you're going to be expecting, and then you get something that is wrong in the last entry. Then do know that this means you need to restart. So I'm going to, although we already know the correct answer, but just going to show you what I mean by restart and really literally restart all over. Okay, so instead of taking the pair of factors of 2 that has negative sign, then we really have to restart and go back to this. Okay, so this is a quick look at how this whole cross method works. So this is the mechanism of this cross method. So we're going to apply this for the next example and see how it works. Again, so same thing, I have factors of 2x squared. Okay, and so I'm going to write that down. So x multiplied with 2x is going to give me 2x squared if I multiply them together. Now I do know that of course both of them can take on negative sign, but if both of them take on the negative sign, then what's going to happen is later on when you do your cross method, you're going to run into a lot of complications. So generally we just take it as default this, unless for example sometimes it can happen where we have something like this. I don't know whether this is factorizable. It probably is. For example, something like this. All right, then you need not consider this. You can actually factorize a negative 1 out of the whole thing, and what's going to happen is you just go to this, then you proceed to factorize this. So that's fine. So you need not worry so much about the x squared term, whether there is a negative or not. So that's just a side comment from me. So x multiplied with 2x is going to give me 2x squared. So as we expect, that's fine. Now the problem is going to come in with 6, because 6 can give me 1 multiplied with 6. All right, so and that's positive 1 multiplied with positive 6. And it also can give me positive 2 multiplied with positive 3. Of course, in this process of listing, I need to be thorough. So I am also going to put down -1 multiplied with -6, -2 multiplied with -3. So we're going to be looking at this and see which one is more likely a possible combination. So as you get more experience, you probably will be able to be faster in this. But for this, I'm not going to scratch my head over that. Just going to try +1 with +6, and you need not check this first, because that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is actually here whether it works or not. So I'm going to get +2x, because 2x multiplied with +1 is going to give me +2x. Okay, and x multiplied with +6 is going to give me +6x, which obviously is wrong. All right, so of course I can as well flip this pair of factors of 6 the other way around. So for example, I can do this, but obviously it's going to be wrong, because 2x multiplied with +6 is going to give me +12x, which is too large. The other one would just actually be +1x. So that's not going to go anywhere near the +7x that I would expect. So again, we're going to just remove all these. And that means I have now effectively ruled this out. So that's the trial and error element to this. Okay, so then I'm going to try +2 and +3 and hope that is correct. So this is going to give me +2x multiplied with +2 is going to give me +4x. +x multiplied with +3 is going to give me +3x. And as I would expect, this becomes +7x. This is +6. All are good, and we can conclude that this and this are our linear factors for the expression that we want to factorize. So that's actually x plus 2 and 2x plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to just show you quickly another example. What happens if there are negative signs? So it's not always the case where it's all positive and positive, right? So things can happen where you need to consider the negative factors. So here, 4x squared, you may need to consider two pairs of factors. So for example, is x multiplied with 4x, 2x multiplied with 2x. Okay, for -6, you're going to have a few combination of things. So for example, let's stay with 1 and 6. It can be +1 multiplied with -6, -1 multiplied with +6. It can also be +2 multiplied with -3, or it can be -2 multiplied with +3. So you have several combinations that are possible, and I'm going to begin by considering, let's say, x with 4x. So as I would expect, this would be 4x squared after I multiply them. And let's try something, and let's try, for example, 1 and 6. All right, this is going to give me 6x. This is going to give me 4x. Not going to go anywhere near. So without even considering the signs, it's quite obvious to us it's not going to work. Obviously 6 and 1 is not going to work as well, because this is going to give me like what, 24x, and this is going to give me x. Nowhere near 5 as well, or to be exact, -5x. Okay, so we kind of want to be a bit more strategic about this and not aim to exhaust all the possible ones. So let's try, for example, 2 with -3. So 4x multiplied with 2, or rather +2, will give me +8x, right? And the other one, x multiplied with negative 3 is going to give me negative 3x. Now, what I'm going to get is positive 5x, which is obviously wrong, but we're not too far off, so let's be strategic about this. And since we're not too far off, why not we consider this? We try the other way around. So if I were to aim for negative 5x, then I should expect this to be negative 8x and this to be positive 3x. And therefore, that means this sign has to follow this. So this has to follow this because x multiplied with positive 3 will give me positive 3x, and 4 multiplied with negative 2 will give me negative 8x. Okay, so the actual pair of factors that we were actually looking for would actually have been this, right? So if you had gone on with the process of try and error, you might have gone on with this and this and this and this before you reach here. So what I'm trying to do here is to show you a more strategic way of finding the exact pair of linear factors instead of having to do the cumbersome and very long-winded trial and error method. You're still doing trial and error, but you basically cut out some of the intermediate steps by smartly observing what certain combination will result in. So what we have here is actually x minus 2, which is this, and 4x plus 3, which is this. Okay, of course, it's also my responsibility to tell you that it's good if you actually check your answer further by expanding this to make sure that what you would get is this. So if, for example, in examination you have some extra time, you can afford some time, do expand this to get back to this. Or if you are doing like practice questions, don't stop at the answer just simply because you found the answer. Use this as an opportunity to expand this backwards and treat this as a practice of expansion. All right, so this concludes my video on factorizing using cross method. I do hope that this helps you because a lot of people find this a little bit difficult to begin learning with. So I hope these 4 steps will help you to sort of frame your mind while you do the trial and error. Okay, so until the next time, goodbye.